So Blue Protocol Star Resonance is officially announced for 2025 global release. For those of you who aren't really familiar with Blue Protocol, well, maybe you're not familiar with Star Resonance. If you follow MMOs, you should be familiar with Blue Protocol. But Blue Protocol is an anime MMORPG that was developed and published by Bandai Namco in Japan. Tencent, Chinese company, big Chinese company, took over Blue Protocol after it was planned to be shut down in Japan, and they've essentially redeveloped the game and made a bunch of changes, and supposedly it's a lot better now. And to add to the excitement, they have announced that the game will be releasing on Steam, I believe, and mobile devices, because it is cross-platform, which we'll get into here in a second, globally. Now, to add a little bit of context as far as what my experience with Blue Protocol goes, I've not played Star Resonance. Unfortunately, I was not able to get access to the closed beta that was released in China not too long ago. There are other content creators that have actually played it, and a lot of the information that I have in regards to Star Resonance specifically comes from their videos and talking with them through DMs or whatever that may be. Now, when it comes to the original Blue Protocol, I am probably the one creator that has played it very extensively. For whatever reason, in Japan, they were banning everyone's accounts. Honestly, even amongst just the general population of foreigners, I may be the person that has played the original Blue Protocol the most. Maybe I got lucky, or maybe it was because I was playing based out of Korea and it's closer. I don't know, different IPs, I'm not really sure, but I just didn't get banned, so I got to play a lot of Blue Protocol. Now, with that said, I'm really excited about all of these changes that have been showcased with Star Resonance. It looks like a much better game. However, I have to say, I'm not completely sold just yet. There are certainly some areas where I'm a little bit like, and there's one major area that hasn't been really addressed or showcased, and that is the reason why the original Blue Protocol essentially shut down and died. I know this for a fact because I spent a lot of hours in that loop being the endgame loop. That is where Blue Protocol really struggled. For those of you who may not know, I will break it down very simply for you. Blue Protocol died. Of course, it had other issues here and there, as every game does, but the main reason why it died is because, number one, the end game activities, the progression loop, was extremely bad. It was just really boring. It wasn't fun. Number two, there was no purpose to that grind, to that progression. Literally, you were working for nothing. There's no point of the progression, and why do progression content if the progression content in itself is boring, is bad? Now, there are a lot of other things. I would say pros and cons, more cons when it comes to the original Blue Protocol, but that was like the big thing. It's like, why play a game where there's no purpose to playing the game, and what you do in the game is actually very boring, right? Now, what I'm seeing from Star Resonance is all of the other stuff outside of the endgame loop seems to be just way better. Way more in line with what we are hoping Blue Protocol to be originally. But like I said, that end game, I don't know yet. Now, I do think that there is a lot more potential for the end game based off of the content and the new design of the game. But let's go into some of the changes that we are actually experiencing or seeing with Blue Protocol Star Resonance. First and foremost, at a core, this game is set to be released for both PC and mobile devices. And it really looks like they've kind of changed the direction in this game to be a little bit more Genshin-like, along with MMORPG elements. It's certainly not another Genshin gacha-like experience, you know, like Honkai Star Rail. I personally categorize all those games as a similar style, you know, and then you have the MMORPGs and then the ARPGs, you know, whatever that may be. Star Resonance seems to be a hybrid between like the Genshin-like games and an MMORPG. When it comes to some of the things that I've seen that are way better, and we're going to knock these out one by one relatively quickly, the movement, the basic movement and flying around seems to be way better. The combat seems to be way better, which, by the way, I never really had an issue with the original combat. I thought the original combat wasn't bad. It had potential, and it was starting to improve over time, but the combat even now looks like it's definitely been upgraded. The classes also seem to be way cooler, better design, much better design, and the progression systems within not only your gear but also your classes and your abilities also seem to be way better. Before, it was just Holy shit, really, really bad. Guild systems have also been added to the game, and the guild systems look really good as well. A really big one here is the whole open world system. Before the original Blue Protocol, everything was pretty much a map, think like Final Fantasy 14, and now it's much more open world like. I do believe some of the major regions still have zones where you'll go into another zone, but all the subzones, they've essentially removed the loading zones, and it's just like one large open world experience. And when you add the enhanced movement and flying capabilities of the game, it just gives you a much more immersive experience when it comes to traveling around the world. Now, of course, I haven't personally experienced that, but that's what it certainly looks like, and that's the feedback that has been shared amongst the people that have played it. And the last thing that I really like that they've added to the game is the exploration and life skilling. It looks like exploration and life skilling is a very big thing. Exploration specifically reminding me a little bit more of like that Genshin-like experience, and the life skilling also, I guess you could kind of correlate that to the Genshin-like experience as well, but MMORPGs also have life scaling, vertical progression. So life scaling also seems to be something that is much more significant in Star Residence, which I think is fantastic. The last thing I want to mention that I think has improved significantly is the dungeon experience. The dungeons before, I don't care what people tell you, anyone that made a video going over the dungeons in the original Blue Protocol and saying that they were really good, that, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It's just a Ion Copium take, really. They were mid at best. They weren't like god awful. I mean, some of them were pretty bad, but they weren't like, I wouldn't say like god awful, but they were certainly not good. The dungeons that I'm seeing in Star Residence right now look way better. Group wipe mechanics, actual faster paced mechs to them. They look really fun. I'm actually really excited to do them. I heard they had to already nerf a couple of the dungeons, which is music to my ears, versus before the dungeons just were not very inspiring. They're just boring to do. Very much looking forward to the new dungeon experience that Star Residence has. Now, a couple of things that have also been changed when it comes to Star Residence that I wouldn't necessarily categorize as good. Number one, they've added auto combat. This is probably to help mobile users, but I think it's pretty clear that you're not going to be using auto combat in any significant endgame content. The auto combat is specifically for farming mobs or world bosses, whatever that may be. So there is that mobile-like element that's been added to the game. Another thing is that they added more pay to win. Now, I don't care what anyone tells you, okay? Again, I'm someone that has played a lot of the original endgame Blue Protocol. The original Blue Protocol, even though it was a shit game, it wasn't that pay to win. It really was. There was technically pay to win in it. In a practical sense, there was next to zero pay to win. It really was not pay to win, right? Not that there was any purpose to pay to win anyway, because again, core part of what that game lacked was that there's no point to your progression. Blue Protocol Star Residence absolutely has way more pay to win. And I think 1010 does a good job in his video explaining it. I would highly recommend checking out 1010's video, by the way, if you are looking for a little bit more detailed, more of a detailed take on some of the updates that Star Residence has specifically, as he is someone that has played quite a bit of the Star Residence. I'll link his video in the description below. But yes, there is definitely more pay to win in this game, and I think it really depends on where you're coming from. If you're a Genshin enjoyer, playing those gacha games, looking at Blue Protocol, maybe this doesn't bother you as much. But for sure, if you're an MMO Andy looking at the pay to win to this, it's like, okay, another pay to win Asian game. I wonder how significant the pay to win is. And honestly, I don't know the answer to that question, but it is very clear that you could purchase upgrade mats to help speed you up vertically. And also, there's an item that you have to buy via the cash shop that allows you to swap weapons. Weapons being like the class system in this game. In Blue Protocol, you equip a different weapon, and when you equip a different weapon, you become that other class. So that is also locked. The ability to swap classes is also locked behind a paywall. As of now, that is. I don't know if there's an updated way where you can get it in game or not. I'm not really sure, but I do know that there is a paywall there. Now, the last thing that is actually kind of similar, no, not kind of similar, it is exactly the same from the original Blue Protocol, is the gacha system. Now, a lot of people are like, what is this? Is this like a Genshin Impact gacha system where I'm going to have different heroes, or are they gacha in gear? What's going on with this gacha? Long story short, the gacha system is just for costumes. That's what it is. That's what it used to be, and that's what it still is right now. You don't have different heroes you play. This is more MMORPG-esque in that regard. You have one hero. You can swap classes, like I just mentioned before, but there is a gacha system specifically for costumes. Now, in the original Blue Protocol, the costumes were really bad. I mean, there are a couple of good ones that came out in the gacha system, but first of all, any costume outside the gacha system that existed was absolutely terrible. And then when they released costumes in the gacha system, they weren't even that great, and they were insanely expensive, like really, really expensive. You can gacha mounts and you can gacha costumes. That seems to be the same today. However, with Star Residence, I don't know how good the free-to-play costumes are that you can just unlock in game, if there are any. I don't know how expensive the gacha system is for these costumes, and I don't know how good these costumes are. So take that as you will. As far as all the significant updates or differences when it comes to the original Blue Protocol and the new Blue Protocol Star Residence, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Like I said, again, check out 1010's video. He does a great job breaking down all of the changes and what the new Star Residence experience is like. However, for me, big question mark is, how is the end game? Now, the fact that the dungeons look a lot better, the fact that the combat is improved, the fact that the vertical system progressions like skill upgrades and whatnot does seem to look a lot better. The end game does seem to be a little bit more promising. However, I haven't seen anyone post any actual end game content. Granted, it is a beta test, and the way Star Residence has been structured, which is probably going to be the same when it actually launches, is that there are time gates, there are content gates. So I guess like milestones, a lot of like Terraceland did this, Throne Liberty did this to a certain degree, where, you know, you can only go to a certain level, and then after an X amount of days, you can go to the next level, and then another region unlocks. That seems to be the way they have done it. A lot of Chinese games, I noticed, do that, by the way. I don't really think that's a bad system. I'm totally fine with that. But because that system has been in place, I think it's also kind of masking what truly is there at the end game. And again, that's the biggest question mark for me, guys. Is the replayability there? Is the game going to actually be fun to play over and over again once you've finished everything, getting to the end game? And I'm just not currently sold on it just yet. I am excited, and I will absolutely be covering it. I will try my best to get into the next beta test, and when I do, I will definitely no-life it, so I have that end game information for you guys. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are in the comment section below. Is this a game that you're interested in trying? Are you still hyped about it? Let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and also follow me on Twitch. MMO content pretty much every day. See you guys in the next video.